Okay. Welcome to the October Open Spaces meeting. There will be initially a first 10 minutes, maximum 10 minutes forum for members of the public that may want to ask questions and make statements to the council. Is there anybody want to make any statements? No? Okay, let's move on. Point 81, apologies for absence.
Apologies have been received and accepted by me from Councillor Safia Hussain.
Thank you. 2022/3, number 82, declarations of interest. To receive any declarations of interest in accordance with the requirements of the Localism Act 2011. To be considered any request for dispensations in respect of pecuniary or non-pecuniary interest in agenda items. Do we have any?
Part of 91A, only in part.
Okay, I'll declare pecuniary interest in 91A.
It's only part of
Yep,
91A.
Okay. Point 83, minutes. To approve a copy of the minutes. Everyone's seen the minutes? Do I propose that, I guess?
I'm not proposing.
No? Okay.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Just when I read through them, it didn't put in there about the making provisions for the wildlife in the church in Central.
Was that on the agenda?
It was spoken about.
But if it wasn't on the agenda, it doesn't go in.
I'm always saying it's not going to happen if it's not minted.
You asked for it as an agenda item.
Dot the i's, cross the t's. We'll put it on as an agenda item next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Or if you want it quicker, we can put it on main council. Full council. I guess it's through quicker.
It doesn't need to be main count, but I think we did say about going out and looking at prices at the last meeting, didn't we?
Yeah.
Whichever you think you see fit.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so if we can have a proposal for the minutes as a true record. Thank you as well. Second, Rachel, all in favour? Is it register and not all?
Oh, I'm not on the committee, am I?
Oh, right,
I'm
okay.
not on the committee, am I, so
Right.
I'm just here for the budget bits, mate.
Ah, thank you.
Could you sign there, please?
That's there. Okay, do you want to
There.
Thank you.
And then sign and date.
This is one of the reject.
Okay.
Holiday, okay.
Could you initial copies,
Okay, point 84, to receive a report from the clerk.
Sorry, it's a long one today. So, we've received several complaints about inaccessible graves in Park Road Cemetery. I have explained that the winter programme of cutting back is underway. I received this from a parishioner. I understand that this is to do with Hallgate Cemetery. I understand that the cemetery is a public space and we have signs there about dogs being on leads. There seems to be a growing number that are off-leading their dogs and throwing balls and exercising their dogs there. It's not really the place for this kind of activity. Can you please pass this on to your open spaces, as this will become a problem, not only for the people tending to graves, but also the dogs are going to mark the headstones if it's a boy, and also leave deposits that the owners have not noticed while their dog is off a lead. Holbeach Herne. We've received a couple of complaints from parishioners at Holbeach Herne regarding grass cutting and saying that the grass has not been cut in 3 weeks. I have checked with the contractor and received photographs, and the grass has been cut weekly. On the 19th of October, the contractor went to do the weekly cut and a square has been cut very short by some person. Our contractor reports that they believe this square to have been cut by the person who plays golf on the playing field, as there are quantities of golf balls left on the playing field. This would be costly to the contractor if they were to damage his machinery. We do have photos. Allotments. We have the new allotment signs and they are waiting to be put up. The allotment invoices have also all gone out. Following the comments made at the last full council meeting regarding the allotment rent, the original agreement for 2013 did state rent in advance. However, 2 previous clerks before me had charged rent in arrears. I have sent a letter to the gentleman concerned along with the previous invoices and asked why this was not raised before. The legislation in the Allotments Act 1950 section 10, which states if the yearly rent exceeds 25 shillings, which is £1.25, then it's not permissible to provide more than 1 quarter's rent to be payable in advance. I know I said 6 at the last meeting, but it is only a quarter. 3 months. 3 months. Although this is not legally compliant, if both tenant and the allotment authority make an agreement at the beginning, the rent may be payable in advance. If the gentleman wishes to pay in advance, then we would need to have confirmation from him, and the rent would be more next year, as a precedent has already been set with paying in arrears. The large plot at Battlefields is ready for ploughing, and I'm waiting to hear back from the gentleman that's going to plough it. Tree work. Right, so we needed to give notice to do the tree work because most of them are in a conservation area. I won't read out what I've written here because that's changed late this afternoon. Eventually, after going to the head of planning, I finally got the tree officer to contact me this afternoon. And late this afternoon, the forms came in, which I have filled in and returned. So I'm waiting for confirmation on that. The Kubota. The company that could make the parts are no longer in business. One of the open spaces team is looking into someone else, and I sent an email out because we've been offered a lot of free bulbs if anybody wants them for planting in any of our areas. So we can decide which areas they are.
Thank you.
And that's me done.
Okay, thank you. Point 85, Councillor Park, to resolve to agree the recommendation to the, of the committee regarding the slide to full council. Actually, we've had an email come back in to say that they can't do what we were expecting them to do at the top of the slide, but are willing to put in an additional route up there on the side of the mound. So what does people
There was
think?
no pictures, so I couldn't understand what they were meaning. Was it one from the original picture?
Yeah, so basically, if you remember the last meeting where they'd added in the second platform,
Yeah.
that's all they can do at the top, according to them. But the only other thing they're offering to do is, if you remember from the original quotation, we had like stepping pods going up from
That's
the
what I
back.
thought they meant.
Yeah, which is not going to solve the issue whatsoever, but it's just probably a bit of a sweetener, saying that because we couldn't afford to have them, so we'd taken them out of the equation for the original specification and just gone with the slide and the platform at the top. They're now saying that they'll give us the stepping pods and they'll give us the extra platform, but that's as much as they can do.
It doesn't address the problem with the rest of the slide, does it?
It doesn't address the problem full stop, because the problem is that it doesn't replicate what we actually asked them to do, which was to give a flat surface at the top for people to gather and be able to go down slide, and for it to allow us to come up in different ways. Over the next few years, we could add in different routes going up the mound.
If the side
To make
itself
it-
is bumpy,
Yeah.
the handrail, the surface comes over the top of it. As soon as it rains, you're going to get it full of water. It's flat at the bottom. There's no gradient, and it poof, poof.
So is the recommendation to go back to full council and suggest we go back to the company and say we want it removing at their expense?
Well, if that's all they're offering, is then pods. It's a no anyway.
Yeah.
There's
Proposal? Rachel, second. All in favour?
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
That obviously we'll take that to full council, but in the interim, so that we get things moving, that if you're happy, I will go back to the other company that quoted originally and another, and see if they can come up with a suitable scheme, considering that the whole thing is going to be completely different to what they quoted in the first place, because the mound is a different shape, different size, etc., etc. Because I'm mindful that the money that we received as a grant needs to be spent within a year.
Yeah.
So I think we need to go back to the grant people and just explain the situation to them and say we have had it installed, we're not happy with it, it will need to be removed. So it may be a little bit longer before we actually get to spend the money.
Yeah, no problem.
So if you're happy, I will hopefully get you some sort of idea of what we can do.
Thank you.
Okay, B, to discuss and resolve to agree Bowls Club maintenance.
You did, last month, you said you were going to go out for price, but we hadn't really had time to speak to the team and see what they could do at that point.
I think we still need to go for pricing regardless, as well, because
For the whole-
it's, yeah, for the whole, the specification that he sent through is detailed as to what he does throughout the whole season. So that we can look at it logically, we need to get that sent out for outside people to do any maintenance that's required and give us a price for it, and also then speak with our parks team, which obviously we haven't done because one of them's been away on holiday, but we can do that at the next work scheduling and say, how much of this are you able to do in-house and how much do you think we're going to need to take out? But we need to start getting it sorted because there's a programme that needs to happen through the winter months.
Okay, I'll deal with that.
If the bowls, are they still going to use it then?
The plan is, the Bowls Club are relinquishing the lease as of end of this month. They haven't got enough members. They can't see their way clear to having it as a club, and their people that maintain the Bowlsbury now haven't got the time to do it anymore because they run a business. So therefore they haven't got the time to do it as an extra.
So if they're not using it, they're not going to use it.
No, but
Is
they
it worth
will,
spending the money?
they will.
We
be
need to
using
keep
it.
on top of it.
The plan is that they still would like to use it in the new season, and we're discussing it tomorrow at our planning and properties meeting. The idea is that we decide on a flat rate price for them to use per session, and that's how much they will pay. They will need to tell us how many times they want it per week. We'll book out those times. Any other time other than that, it will be open to anybody to book out. So if a member of the public or the schools want to use it, or a group wants to use it, they can book it as well. So we will do the maintenance, we will manage the bookings. They can use it as a club, but they do not have sole use of it. So anybody could use it in the
Part of
interim.
the old charter is that there has to be accessible
Yeah.
bowls
Yeah,
within Old Beach,
but it hasn't happened for many years.
but it's been there.
Yeah, if it happens that there isn't enough use for it to maintain the, as a bowls green, then we'd have to look at the whole situation again after the next season. But that's the plan for next year. Because they want to continue as a club as such, but not have the responsibility of having to maintain it and do everything themselves. So we need to look at how we're going to maintain it, because obviously if our staff do it, they need to do some form of training because they haven't done that extent of maintenance to that level.
You've got a lot more equipment.
Well, again, the Bowls Club have got equipment, and when I next meet with them, when they have back the keys, the idea is that we will come to an agreement that this season we should be able to use, whoever does it would be able to use their equipment. Obviously if it goes out to contract then it's a different thing altogether because the contractor would do it, but if it's our staff that are doing it, we would use their equipment for this season and see where we go with it. If at the end of that season it is not a viable option and we can't maintain it and moving forward we don't wish to do that, then the equipment would remain there, so they would then be able to sell it.
So we need to basically put it out to find out the costings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ideally.
Yeah, proposal. Second, yeah, thank you, Rachel. All in favour? 26, cemeteries, to resolve to increase cemetery fees. Obviously, the information is has been sent out. In relation to looking at the increases,
The signalling there is shocking, isn't it?
cemetery fees.
It's on there, Mark, if you want, look again.
No, it's all right, thank you. So, looking at an interment, so that's going to be going up £10. Interment of ashes going up £15. Headstone and inscription going up £25, so that's 25% increase. Vases going up £10. Tablets going up 15. Each additional subscription going up an extra 5. Transfer of grants to stay the same. Right of burial going up £10. Grant of plaque supplied and fitted going up 15. And then a rosebush supplied and planted going up by 50% from 40 to 60.
Can we put planted
Could
and
I-
maintained on that?
Because that's, sorry?
If you put rosebush supplied, planted and maintained, because if not, someone's going to go down there and start cutting their own rosebush.
I've just taken it off what the policy,
Yeah, I'm just
policy.
adding
Would
it
you
to it.
like me to fill in the background?
Yeah, feel free.
Right, so if you look at the cost of interment of an adult, we will say, and then you look at the interment of ashes, from an admin perspective, there is absolutely no difference in the work involved in doing the two things. Also, with the interment of ashes, we actually dig that, so you've got a member of staff here in the office doing all that work, plus a member of the open spaces team. When I compared it to other local councils, they charge a similar amount to what we're currently charging, but they charge for a grave digger on top. So this is where it's not really, you can't say about percentage, because it's actually reflecting the work that's involved. We've got the headstone and inscription, that's just moving to reflect other places, and also the level of work that is involved from an administration point of view. The transfer of grants, transfer of exclusive right of burial, that stays the same, but it doesn't for a non-resident, because often that involves a little bit extra work, and we've always said that non-residents should pay more, but they shouldn't pay double, because often they are,
Ex-residents.
no, it's like if somebody that owns a plot passes away, it has to be transferred to their relative, but their relative might not live in Holbeach, but that's not necessarily their fault, so you can't completely double the fee there. And realistically, we have to reflect on the administration work involved as much as anything.
My personal take on it is I don't see how the amount of work that's additional, for instance, like a non-resident, all you've done is you've looked at the increase and then doubled it. So if the increase on the ashes, for instance, is £70 to 85 for a resident, it's 140 going up to 170. So the increase that was going to be £15 there is just put 30 quid on. So the amount.
Historically, it's always been double fees for anybody outside the parish. Everybody, all the parishes do the same thing.
Yeah, I get that, but personally, I think when you're looking at that across the board, especially where we currently sit nationally, I just think that there's some things there. To supply a rosebush at 40 quid, we're going to put it up to 60. I think it's, I think there's. When have we actually discussed the fees going up other than in this meeting? Because this was coming through, the data coming through, and the increase on fees was the first that we're aware of it.
It was on the agenda.
It's on the agenda, I get that,
But you have to put it up because you're doing your budgeting, so you've got to look at your.
Okay. So what does anybody else think? I just think certainly currently to put that up where we currently see it, I think would be a long move. Personally.
It'll be from April next year, not.
Yeah, no, I get that. But personally, I think that's.
I'll just speak, if you don't mind.
Yeah, not a problem.
I'll be nice, Craig. On the admin side alone, if you were to come in and sit and watch the amount of time that Karen is spending on funerals, it's costing a fortune. Because you've got to take account of her wages, the running costs of this building, etc., etc., etc. Phone calls, because she's permanently on the phone talking to different funeral companies, etc., etc. So the costs do need to increase. Currently, Old Beach is a cheap place to pass away.
Rachel?
Yeah, I mean, I knew, because we spoke about this, I can't remember, a while ago, about the increases. Yeah, I'm happy with a lot of them. And like I say, the rosebush is a bit dear, because it doesn't take a lot, and we're not looking after them. And yeah, it is historic for the double for non-residents, because I remember talking about this ages ago when I questioned it. We are favourable for this area, which I want to keep it at, which is very, very important. But yeah, the only one I don't like is the actual rosebush. I think that's dear.
Could I answer Rachel's?
Yeah.
So, the thing is, Rachel, that the administration for doing the rosebush is exactly the same as it is for doing a headstone or anything. It's exactly the same work from the office, and also a member of staff has got to go down and plant it. So if you think £40 for that, taking off the cost of the rosebush, we were actually out of pocket.
So do we have a proposal to go with the cemetery fees that are listed down?
Go for it, because I mean, it could be far worse, and we know we're
Okay. Do we have
vulnerable
a
in
second?
this area.
All in favour? Please can you register my vote against?
So you've got 3, 4.
Okay. Allotments, 87. A, to receive an update on the waiting list.
So, we sent out to all the people on the waiting list offering them plots. About 40% haven't even responded. Several, we've now let all at Plank Hook. We've got quite a few came back off of the, I think we've got 3 or 4 came off of the Facebook post, so we've got those. So the waiting list will be finished with once we let the plots, the 8 plots at Battlefields. Or
Okay.
10, there's 10 plots actually available at Battlefields. So that's pretty good.
Okay, B, to resolve to agree a shed and fruit trees on plot BFG11. We've seen there's a big friendly giant wants a shed and fruit trees. Obviously, we've seen the plan that's been sent out. Personally, I don't have an issue with it. If anyone's got any issues, please say.
I know it's been noted, it's been noted before about us planting trees down there with it not being our land. But she's on about dwarfs. I mean, she's planting next to trees that are already there.
Yeah.
We can't really say no. It's a difficult one on that one.
Anyone else?
I don't have a problem with it, but I'm just wondering what we said before.
I think the issue has always been that they are allowed fruit trees to a degree, as long as it's not like,
What was it we stopped having?
it was a
It was a
walnut.
plot,
Walnut, that, I can't remember what it was.
Fruit trees are allowed,
provided
as long as it's
plot.
not the whole,
Mm.
like an orchard.
Mhm.
So a couple of fruit trees is not an issue.
Yeah, no, not that one.
Proposer? Rachel, thank you. Second that. Steve, all in favour? Yeah, you can
What's the
see.
difference between a walnut tree and a fruit tree then? I don't know,
Walnuts
but
is-
the root system.
Yeah, it can be a bit more invasive. And without seeding everywhere.
C, to resolve to agree the shed on plot BFG 337B.
I can't remember the sizing on this one.
8 by 8, I believe.
Okay.
Oh, I think I've closed one down, yeah.
Personally, I don't have an issue with it. It's within sizes for what we allow, so.
Okay.
I'll propose the accepting that. Yeah. All in favour? D, to resolve to agree with the greenhouse on BFG 44. Obviously the sides are detailed down on the supporting documents. Does anyone have anything to say? Any
Well,
concerns?
if I could open it.
Again, the size is fine, it's not an issue, it's not massive. It's just a matter of, you know, making sure they're aware that if there's any breakages of glass, etc., it must be cleared away.
Okay.
I was going to say, I don't think we encourage glass.
No, we don't, but
Everybody else has gone for plastic.
Yeah, a lot of them do polycarbonate now, don't they?
Yeah.
if it is polycarbonate, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
I
Then
think
we
we
find
just
out what
need
it
to
is.
find, yeah, we just need probably detail on that.
I think people just ask for a greenhouse.
Generally,
Yeah, but I haven't
people,
really
some people
asked
make
them
their
what-
own greenhouses out of painted glass.
So can I suggest then that we go back to them and suggest that ideally polycarbonate?
We're happy for it to go ahead as
Yeah.
long as it's.
Ideally not glass.
Yeah. Proposer? Any actual second that? Is it all in favour? Yeah. E, to resolve to agree who will carry out the allotment inspections on 24th of November along the clock. I'm not available.
It's a,
If you stuck on, I'm happy to do it.
Thursday, isn't it?
yeah, it's a Thursday.
I'll have to get back to you because I haven't updated my work diary. So I don't know if I'm here or not.
Currently I'm free, but I said currently I'm free, but that may change with hospital appointments.
Is anybody else?
I'll
be free.
Be free.
Be free.
I can have a look at the diary at home and let you know.
Send out.
So,
Is everybody happy with that?
Yep. okay. Point 88, Nature Reserve, there is no update to report. Point 89, Churchyard, to resolve to agree the planting of the war memorial. Obviously, quite conscious that we've got remembrance coming up. Do we have any plans for planting it up?
Have we got any plants?
No, not currently. We'd need to buy some. It was vaguely spoken about that we was going to use some leftover funds for planting it up, but it got no further than that when we discussed it. So what's people's thoughts?
Well, if you've got the plants, I'll happily plant it, you know that.
Personally, I think you need to be looking at doing it. I would encourage to try and do it as
As soon as possible.
well, as soon as possible and as sustainably as possible, so we're not ripping them all out again come spring, summertime. If we can last a little bit longer, that'd be useful. But it depends on what you can get hold of at the moment, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
What sort of funds have we got? I would.
We've got the budget that's left from the spend.
You've got about, off the top of my head, 400.
Yes.
About that.
How many planters are there, Rachel?
11.
11, okay.
Your voice got deeper.
Too many fags, Mark. You've got 4 each side, 3 at the back.
So,
80 litres.
so, does anyone want to take ownership of sourcing plants?
I don't want the... I can go and have a recce. I'm off this weekend.
Yeah.
But it depends what you want me to get, or do I go and price stuff up, come back, or do I grab things while I'm there?
I think we've got to say that we've got a budget of £400. So it comes under the limit that we've got to go to full council. We can make a decision now because we need to be moving on it. So if I propose that you have a butcher's round, see what there is, up to
Let
us
me have a
then.
butcher's this weekend. I can send an email out to you all with what I find, and then take it from there if you want.
Yeah, no problem. Propose that.
I'll go for it.
So you're proposing to spend up to 400?
And to plant it ready for the remembrance.
And I will look more at the route of long term.
Yeah, if we can, that would be better. Even if it's not mega long term, if it's...
No, but
slightly-
I'm thinking if I do a little bit half and half at the
Yeah.
minute and then go
Yeah,
full
and
term.
then,
If when you find them, you let me know, I can pay on credit card.
Can I buy them and then you pay me?
No, because
So I'll
if
take you
there's
to purchase
that,
with me,
we
shall I?
can't, you can't do it like that. So if you
We'll
phone me
sort it
over
out.
the weekend and I can do it over the phone, it's not, I don't mind being, it's fine.
Right. Let me go and have a recce.
Mm-hmm. Proposal, you, wasn't it? Yeah. Thank you.
Second there, it's Rachel. All in favour? Okay. Point 90, tree work. To resolve to agree to recommend full council the price for tree work. I believe the tender is still active until the 31st of October.
No,
Thought that was the date, wasn't it?
there wasn't a date on it. We were going out for prices. Prices should have been in by yesterday so that you could agree them today.
did they all know that the prices need to be
Yes.
in by yesterday?
Yes.
I know one firm has put in for an extension on it because they was only doing the look around yesterday.
No,
and
they
it was a
weren't.
subcontractor.
I'm sorry, Mark, I challenged that person this morning on the phone. They were given that on the 18th of October and they didn't look at their email until yesterday, and I had already chased it on by phone as well.
Okay, I'm not saying, Jan, respectfully, I'm not saying that we've done any wrongdoing in that sense. What I'm saying is the company that was subcontracted to look into it went back to the landscape gardener that had was putting the tender in, and he has asked for an extension.
Yeah, but the person that you gave me the business card of, I'd already contacted them anyway on the 18th of October as well.
So we've got no prices then?
Well, we have got one price, but only one. So what I did was I took from the tree report, the plan, and then each of the 6 trees that need work. So there's 2 in the churchyard, 2 in Park Road Cemetery, and 2 in Carter's Park. And I sent them out. One person's come back with a price. I even put pictures in so they could all see the pictures of the trees. One person's come back with a price. One person has even visited the council offices and we went through everything. Sophie happened to be in here at the time. Through everything and promised me a price, and despite leaving 3 messages, haven't come back to me. There was 6 in total that I contacted. One sent the contractor out, as Mark says, but the contractor had been contacted already separately. So I don't know if you want to wait. I'll just wait till the next council meeting. And if we don't get anyone, then we'll just have to.
Yeah, I think we can't make a decision just on one quote. I think we defer it to the next open spaces meeting.
Or full
Or
council?
the next full council.
Because bearing in mind we've got a deadline
Yeah.
getting this done, haven't
Yeah.
So I propose that we defer it to full council.
Thank you. agreed.
Okay, budgets 91, to discuss and resolve to agree to recommend the draft budget to the Finance Committee.
So, Rick and I went through, and I don't think we just adjusted the cemetery fees based on the projection that I've got out. So yeah, that's all that we've looked at.
I mean, on the finance side, Mark, the bit that concerns me is just the projects for next year, because I don't understand what some of them are. The 5K for Netherfields,
That was one I wanted to ask about.
but there's nothing in the drive to say what you're planning to do, and I don't particularly want to present.
Steve, do you want to give some details on that?
Well, we've got to look at just new goals, haven't we? Setting out maybe a running track and things like that. But as for, was it talk about the allotments, maybe going there as well? Am I thinking something different?
Well, I think
This is
trouble
just
was you
future
were so
projects.
rushed-
Oh, well, yeah,
You were
it was,
so rushed at the end that
it
it
was,
sort of got...
new goals, make them smaller, a bit smaller,
Right.
and then looking at, I think that we went out to do the running track, wasn't it?
We've
I
got a
suggest
bit of
a
a
running
problem
track.
with doing
You
the
can't
running
turn the
track.
running track,
Yeah.
can you? So, goals ain't gonna cost you £5,000, but it gives you a bit of money there in case.
We were going to look at the gates potentially.
Yeah, and the gates, yeah.
Yeah, the
New
gates
gates.
that-
Issue.
That's, I think...
I think it would reduce it significantly.
Yeah, yeah,
Get some quotes in there,
Um,
for gates.
for the gates, yeah.
I think the gates, didn't we put those directly into battlefields?
No, because this is Netherfield, isn't it? We're talking about.
Yeah, we did, because in the repairs and maintenance of battlefields, it's normally 200 and we went in with 1,000.
Yeah, but we're talking about Netherfield.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Different
Different
gates.
game.
yeah.
I heard...
Same problem.
Yeah,
Same
I mean,
issue.
that's not going to cost you £5,000
No,
for
no,
paying it
no,
out, is
no.
it?
I think that the other thing to consider is that this year's budget that was for projects
Yeah.
is null and void. So, you know, to argue the case on the money that's in there for projects, I
Yeah.
think it needs to be, you know, sort of like...
I would suggest that you have a contingency budget, so that anything does come up during the year, then you know you've got some money there.
So the overall draft budget is to be 67,072. And if there's nothing else that's been altered other than the cemetery fees, it's already been agreed at this committee and also suggested to full council, so I think it's just a straightforward, put it forward as it is. I would propose putting it forward as is.
You know, I'm a bit hesitant because I think we need to ease up on the projects just for a year.
You just say the same, Simon,
I just want to ease up on the projects for a year because obviously we don't even
With
know
cost
what's
of
going to
living.
happen in April with the rest of the bills and bits and pieces. People's precept going up.
Well, Jan and I, when we had all these up the other day, we actually did the precept, didn't we? And for a band D property, it's 47 pence per week.
I know, but
That's not an
Yeah.
increase, that's what it's going to be.
so we're not increasing our precept.
Well, we were going to ask for more money than we
Yeah.
asked for last year, but we've got more residents in Old Beach now.
That was
but-
based on last year.
Yeah.
I'm worried about our precept going up, then you've got South Holland on top of that, you've got your police commissioner on top of that, and the
So
cost of living going through the roof.
Are you then suggesting that we hang off the projects and the 19 grand that we've got put onto projects, that we roll that back until the following year?
I'd like to.
So, Isabel?
I understand what you're saying, Rachel, absolutely understand that point of view. I think before we make any rash decisions, my understanding is that we need to present all of the whole budget, the whole estimate as it is, to either the next meeting or the very latest, the December meeting. And if we can then do two, whereby you're saying this is what it would be without putting in any extra for projects
Yeah.
at all, not just our projects, but
Yeah.
everybody's projects. And this is what it would be if we put the projects
Yeah.
in.
Yeah,
Then costs are going to go up anyhow because everything's going up.
yeah.
So our running costs are going to have gone up. So it's, what would it be for a Band D property if we don't deliver anything extra, and what will it be for a Band D property if we deliver everything extra?
Yeah,
And then we can make a sensible decision, because
Yeah,
if it's only going to cost people, say, for argument's sake, I don't know, £5 a year extra, and they get all of the things that we've put into our projects for next year, then that's a decision we as a council have got to make. Do we deliver projects for the parishioners, or do we do absolutely nothing and just deliver
Well, we
us?
won't be doing nothing, we'll be maintaining what we've already got.
Yeah, but
Not
people
posting
don't
the
see
thing.
it that way, do they, Rachel?
I
They
know,
see that
but-
we've just got lots of nice open spaces and things like that. From their point of view, they don't see anything new and different happening, so that from their point of view, we haven't delivered. That's how they see it. And we've got to make it clear why we're making the decisions we're making. Are we cutting back and not doing anything and just treading water for a year, which is fine. If we decide to do that, got no problem with it. Or are we going to say, well, you can have all of this for an extra amount of X per household, and make the decision that
Yeah,
way?
do the 2 figures, it's sensible. As long as you don't mind doing it.
no, it's no hassle, is it? Don't take long, does it?
Could I put something by each of the projects that just breaks down
What they are.
what they are?
Yes,
So
please.
you've got the youth area.
Yeah, so the youth area was, it was mainly the, like a sort of semi-street workout thing, so with potentially a punch bag and things they can
Street
climb.
workout.
Yes, a street workout and some seating. Then you've got the in-ground trampoline, haven't you?
That's
Mhm.
seating, seating inclusive trampoline is next.
Yeah, well, you've got the seating that would go with the youth area, and then you've got the
I think it's only the youth area in Netherfield, because the other one's fairly self-explanatory, isn't it?
For the trampoline, Isabel,
Yeah.
I've been looking at your quotes
Yeah.
in the folder today. Most of them are all up for age 13, aren't they?
You'd be lucky if you're going to get anything that would go from much. I mean, they say 13. But
Yeah. I know it's only a guideline, isn't
It's
it?
a guideline.
Yeah.
The bigger they are, obviously, the better, and some
Yeah.
are completely inclusive, so you can put a wheelchair on,
Brilliant.
which is important. So
Yeah,
if we're going
yeah,
to
yeah.
look at
No,
anything.
I like the idea of the trampoline, does.
So there's various quotes out there, and some of the work could potentially be done by us anyhow in-house.
Yeah.
So it's just.
It's not the sort of thing you want to spend cheaply on.
No.
You can't.
It's got to be a decent one, hasn't it?
Yeah. That was it, wasn't it?
So the proposal is then to put two figures forward, one with projects, and that's projects across the board, is it? Not just open spaces?
Yeah, so when it comes to full council doing the pre-estimates,
So just
we make
just
a,
quick one.
Yeah.
With the slide,
Yeah.
obviously that's not been paid for yet, has it?
Nope.
So if you're going to go back to them and say,
take it away.
take it away,
Yeah,
is that then spare for
No.
other projects?
no, because we need to deliver the
Is it
slide.
on the slide?
Has to be
So,
a slide, does it?
um,
Could be the grant.
the only way you could alter it is if you go back to the grant company,
Yeah.
grant,
And that's a big mound.
and say,
Yeah.
unfortunately, we can't deliver that, but we can deliver this.
Yeah.
But I would still, we need a slide. The kids love a slide,
Oh, I know they do. I know.
so therefore we need to put something back. And it is doable, it's just that it's a different project now because of what they've done.
Yeah.
And if they take it away, you're going to have a completely different mound to what you started with.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
So therefore it needs to be looked at as a
Yeah,
whole,
yeah.
as a new project.
Well, that mound needs stabilising before they do anything, doesn't it?
So,
So proposer? Rachel, second that, Steve, all in favour? Point number 2, work scheduling. A, to resolve to complete the work schedule, including the willow tree at Hallgate and Bowls Club. I believe the willow tree's been done at Hallgate.
Right, so yeah, I've taken off 1, 2, yeah, it has. Yeah. I've taken off 1, 2 and 3 from last time because they've all been done. So do you want me to read through what you've got on,
Before we start cracking on with work scheduling, as we are short of machinery, would it not be a sensible thing to specify that we only require the grass cutting to be done once a fortnight now for the time being? Because as they're going to be spending all the time using the one piece of machinery that we have got to do grass cutting, then we're not going to get any of the other jobs done.
I think that's a good shout to do in the interim, to say that.
Until we can get sorted out.
I think that's the key thing. I think we need to get that part ordered. No matter what, we need a workable machine. So wherever we may need to get it from.
So if we stick grass cutting into amber, then it makes it very clear and put it 2 weekly.
fortnightly only? The bit of the Bowls Club was clearing the leaves because apparently the green is becoming inundated with leaves.
Now it's starting mulching.
Yeah.
Do you want me to put that on there?
I think it needs to be a priority.
I think the chipping's a priority as well, seeing as that's a two-man job.
And I would suggest nature reserve as a priority as well, because there's got to be 2 men in there. You can't do it without.
Yeah.
And it is as well, we can't get the tree people back until they've got that ivy cleared away.
Yeah.
But it's not just cutting back the ivy, I want it blitzing. As we specified, so maybe one of us needs to go in there with them and just specify what we're actually looking at, because it needs a good sort out in
Do
there.
you guys know what they're looking for in it?
No, not really, that's what I mean. I think somebody needs to go down there with them. They know they've got to clear the ivy away, but a lot of the trees and everything have become very, the bushes and the trees have become very matted together. And yes, you need to keep your ground cover and whatever for the animals.
It's a nature reserve.
It is, yeah, so I don't want to completely blitz it, but it needs a good sort out.
I believe they've cut the bushes at the front.
yeah,
They come
external.
out onto the path.
But
So
it
that's
now
now
needs-
been done, so we're
it's
talking about
internal,
inside.
yeah.
Okay, cool.
So it's 3. Do you want me to move chipping to number 3?
I don't think it really
Do
matters,
we-
to be honest. I
In
think
relation to numbering it, do we physically need to number it to say what's the most important? If it's in the red section, surely we're expecting that to be done within the first week or 2 weeks tops?
Take the numbering out?
I think you've got to give the guys some sort of autonomy to be able to do what they see falls in at the relevant time.
and dependent on the weather as well.
Yes.
I thought we'd done that, but
So did I. So amber list we've got.
Sorry, I'm not finished the red. So all you've got on the, what was 5, which was cut back the canopy but not Park Road, or boundary of Carter's Park, you want that left on?
I think, I mean, having walked through the park, all of the laurel bushes need a good cutting back. You've got that pathway down between the football ground and the bowls club. There's a lot of those bushes that are now encroaching out onto the pathway. There's some of the other ones around that need generally trimming up. Any bushes and anything that needs to be cut back needs to be looked at. But that's not just in the park, it's everywhere, isn't it?
Yep.
It's as to where you're going to put your priorities, but I would definitely put your nature reserve as a
You can't
major
do
priority.
anything. You can't do Park Road Cemetery or the churchyard until we hear back from the tree lady. So if I put cut back canopy Carter's Park except boundary of Park Road, because the trees on the boundary of Park Road are the ones that are in the conservation area. Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then chipping, I've got bowls lawn leaves, but I'll put it at the top now. Grass cutting, I'll take out of the red list. So, and the list.
Spray Park Road Cemetery.
That's an ongoing one.
Is it something that needs to be in the amber, or can we put that in green
You've only got one person who can spray, haven't you?
at the minute?
Yeah, I mean, it's not desperate, I mean, there are bits and pieces, but it's not,
Shall I take it out
no,
completely, or?
no, I mean, it needs to be kept on top of, doesn't it? I'd just leave it where it is. The cleaning of the tennis courts, that could go into green, because that's just as and when it needs to happen.
What's happened with that bump?
Nothing further. I've got to get in touch with people, but I mean, what can they say? It's a mole.
Yeah, but if they can supply you with some, or they
Some of
can
the
come out and
stuff.
do a patch,
Mm.
that's what we need, because it's now a trip hazard. So
Yeah.
you're either going to have to shut the tennis court soon, because it's going to get worse as people keep kicking it. So it
And we don't want
needs
it
to be a
split.
priority.
Splitting before the frost comes.
Exactly. I'm sure they can come and patch.
Thank you.
Empty the sand pit. You've got grills, toilet doors.
Did the signs get put on the sandpit?
Don't know.
I didn't see on any, unless they've been
I'll
removed.
have to ask.
Obviously, it's still locked, isn't it?
Oh, do you want your signs putting up on the allotments?
Yeah, no need to go
So
up.
do you want to put them in the red or in the amber?
Amber. At least that's something that can be done as a one-man job, isn't it?
Yeah.
They are important to go up, so. Shall I? No.
Well, you've got nature reserve pruning in green, so that's over in red
Yeah,
now,
so
so
shall I
that can
take it
come
out
out.
green? Yeah. You want me to take the numbers out of there, don't you, as
Yeah.
well?
And I believe they've also started cutting back on Park Road Cemetery, haven't they? Haven't they been doing that
They've
back
done
hedge?
hedge,
Yeah, that's all.
because that was in need of doing. I mean, that is the other thing, there are the other hedges in the cemetery that need to be looked at. Because it's now encroaching through the
I think that,
fence.
I think the hedge trimming back needs to go into amber.
Yeah.
Sorry, hedge trimming needs to be?
Amber.
Any hedge trimming generally,
Across the whole parish.
because you've still got the one down at Hogwarts St John's that hasn't been addressed,
No.
which needs to be done.
Can we put that into red then?
Because that's, you know, it's
It's
for the
been
war memorial,
It's
isn't
been on
it?
there long enough.
I would move your toilet doors and everything into green, because that can wait.
Oh, right, so.
And your pigeons in the hole in the chapel, that ain't gonna happen now, that's
So
a work.
the toilet doors
Yeah.
are going to green.
Mention the cedar tree, please, because it's been there. No,
It is still on the amber list.
it's been there for 2 years and it
Yeah,
hasn't.
as
I know.
Um,
And people comment on
did
it.
you say hedge trimming into red?
No, in amber.
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 I
The,
think I hope it's going to grow back.
Yeah, possibly, yeah.
it was spoken about yesterday when the people that was doing looking around at the tree work, in the sense of it's a job that is done as and when they don't have time to get to it. Obviously you can't do a stump grinder in now, obviously with it being cemetery, so
No.
that's an issue. And it's just literally the timescale of getting
I
down
think
to it.
people are just fed up of saying that, you know,
Yeah.
the cedar tree came down 2 years ago plus, and
Yeah.
nothing's happened in that 2 years,
Yeah.
truthfully.
I think it's moving forward, not very swiftly. I agree.
Yeah, yeah.
But again, it's one of those things that it's the time allocation you need to give to it. And it would have been perfect opportunity, maybe during the course of, while we couldn't cut down tree work in the
Yeah.
rest of the parish, we could have done it during the course of the summer.
Yeah.
A little bit more than we actually did, but obviously we were dealing with a time when we've...
We just want somebody to go in there with a chainsaw, spend a day cutting up as much as you can, and then remove it at a later date.
Yeah, a little bit more in depth than that, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
You've also got the follow-up from that, which means that the gravestones would need reinstating, and so I know that we've...
Oh, well, that's a big job.
Yeah.
The gravestones alone.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's a lot of... And depending on where the roots are, depends on how...
How you going to get them out?
Well, how many remains are currently around the roots, because the depth of the roots depends on where the
Yeah.
remains are. So it's not something that you can just hack away at and
No,
you know.
no, it's just an eyesore, that's all.
Yeah.
And, you know, for people who have got relatives buried there,
Yeah.
I know chances are they're probably from last century anyway, but it's still,
Yeah.
You know, a lot of us don't move.
huh?
There's still a lot of families who are still here.
Oh, I know there is, yeah.
So,
Recap on what I've put
Yeah.
down, make sure I've got it right. So red is Clean Bowls Club, lawn of leaves, nature reserve, cutback ivy, etc. Cutback canopy, Carter's Park, except boundary of Park Road. Chipping is ongoing. On amber, grass cutting fortnightly only. Hedge trimming, Spray Park Road Cemetery, Cedar Park Road, signs for the allotments, empty sandpit. Fortnightly visits to Hallgate and Pigeonhole Chapels.
You take that out, pigeonhole chapels, because they can't do it at the minute because they're working on the roof.
Yeah,
So it go into green, that'll be done in May.
green. And then we've got for green, the winter list is just as it is, but we've added in, no, so remove remaining fence in Jubilee Garden, trees, Carter's Park along boundary, raised canopy, or we can't do that yet. Play equipment repaint, benches repaint and resite, Carter's Park, Park Road Cemetery cutting back, clean tennis courts, grills, toilet doors, tree, Whole Beach Surgery, Whole Beach St John's War Memorial.
Needs taken to red.
Sorry?
Whole Beach War Memorial, Whole Beach St John's needs taken into red.
Red,
Yeah.
and so on this side.
Okay, proposal for the work schedule. Rachel, second that. Isabel, all in favour, yeah. 92B, to resolve to agree who will represent the committee at the work schedule meeting.
When is it?
Well, that's a good question actually. Let's see, just look at what's on tomorrow. Oops. So.
I know
Get hungry.
Is anyone free tomorrow morning?
I'm at work for the rest of the week.
What can be? Possibly part of the morning, but not all of it.
Sorry?
I said I am part of the morning, but not all of it.
Be 10:30?
It'd be easier at 10.
10?
Are you free, Mark? Would you like me then?
10 o'clock tomorrow.
So,
Where is it?
92B. So it's IH and it's Mark is proposing, seconder. Thanks, Rachel.
Okay, confirm date and time, date and venue of next meeting.
So, I'm not here on the 21st, the 22nd I can't do, 23rd I can't do, 'cause I'm on a training course all day. 24th, Thursday the 24th.
That takes you over a month. I'm just thinking for your next work scheduling meeting, you're pushing another week
So
on.
today, so that's 1, 2, 3, that's 4 weeks.
I just think about doing it a few days before the 22nd,
So we do.
like the week beforehand.
Oh, so that week, yeah, so that'd be 3 weeks. That's the same week as
Full
the
council
full
is the
council.
14th.
Yeah, same week as full council.
Okay. I'm off the 24th,
24th.
if that's any good to anybody else. But obviously, Mark, you'll be back at school, won't you?
I mean, I can do the 22nd, but it wouldn't be till 6.
I wouldn't be able to get here till after 6 anyway, because I'll be at work.
I prefer not, because it's my
I
birthday.
don't know.
That's all right, bring cake.
No, I will probably be getting slowly sozzled in the
It's
corner.
all right, you can walk.
And Wednesday the 23rd, I'm up in Lincoln on training day, so.
So that's the diaries open.
Did you say Monday the 21st?
No, because I'm not here Monday the
24th.
Thursday the 24th.
Or even the 25th.
That's a Friday.
Yeah. No?
Do the 24th if you like, 5 o'clock.
What time is best for you, Mark?
5 o'clock would be fine.
Well, that's the day of the allotment instructions as well. 5 o'clock.
So next meeting will be Thursday 24th at Cooper Chambers at 5 o'clock.
Thank you very much.
Okay, meeting closed.